Greetings fellow Vision wielders, today let's talk about the upcoming Persona 5 raid and how to get ready for it. Of course, we'd like to begin with the end in mind, so let's talk about the gear that you're getting for grinding this raid. It is none other than the Jack Frost accessory. I am really liking this piece of gear because it gives both ice and water resistance as well as slash resistance, all at 10% on an accessory, which means you can still stack armor on top of this or wear an armor TMR with it. And it's looking like anybody can equip this. Before we get into the thick of things, I want to say up front that if you have the free light units locked Lucio and perhaps Cecil or Thancred already 120EX with Esper Resonance with Affinity with each other, then you definitely can do this raid. You can solo grind this. I've been seeing comps with 3 light slash units chaining the main boss with a very weak level 89 less than 100 Queen as a bonus unit. So if you aren't planning on going hard at this raid, then you're set. No need to prep much more than that. But before you go, I do hope you drop a like or a subscribe if you found this content helpful. For the rest of us who want to optimize our setup, who maybe want to play with our Persona units, find duo comps, let's get into it. In this video, we're going to be talking about both the boss and the rare boss, their weaknesses, their attacks, their passives, what comps we should be prepping for, what espers we should be resonating with our newest units, and of course, we're going to be covering some of the comps done in Japan that are proven to be able to handle the top level of the raid. The main boss for this event is Shadow Kamoshida. He is a dark element shadow type species in this game, which means none of the ether skills in any of our espers are going to be relevant to him, I think. That said, he is weak to both slash and light damage, 10% to both. His next lowest resistance is still a positive 10 for strike resistance. No surprises there. This raid was tuned, of course, for the P5R units. Notably, he has 100% slow resist and he cannot be CT manipulated. Taking a look at his active skills, he has slash and strike based attack, leaning more towards the strike side. All of his strike attacks are AoE, his slash attack is single target, and his damage is slash based, and it's all physical. Notably, his counter only has a range of 2. The next thing we'll look at are his passives. He has a accuracy buff, resistance to 3 status effects, def debuff, spirit debuff, and HP down debuff, as well as null CT changes. So no steal time on this guy. Talking about comps, Shadow Kamoshida was obviously designed as a target for Violet, but I've seen Joker duos, and there's even a video of a level 30 Queen tagging along with a trio from every element in the game except Wind and clearing the level 100 of this raid. While those were the comps that worked for JP, I suspect that Starlight Elena and Elzirel are options for duoing with Violet, and that Shadow Links could also work with Joker. I myself am going to gamble on Charlotte and Veln being able to duo with Queen, although I don't think it's very likely. Lastly, I did see some comps leaving out the Persona unit and duoing, and I've left them in the description below. Moving on to the rare boss, Shadow Kaneshiro is also a shadow type species, light element, this time with weaknesses to both strike and magic attacks as well as dark element. I'd like to note here that despite his 20% slash resistance, I've still seen light comps with free units take down this rare boss at level 10 because light comps are simply that good at the moment, as long as of course you have the right VCs. Moving on to his active skills, Shadow Kaneshiro has both strike and missile attacks. His basic attack is missile and all of them are physical based. He does have a sleep AoE, so make sure you know what gear you're gonna slap on if your comp is having difficulty with that, and he also has a longer counter range than Shadow Kamoshida. Interestingly, he doesn't have null CT changes nor the spirit and def debuff resists that the other boss has. For comps, the only video I found was the Violet plus 3 free light unit slash chain. However, I suspect Joker or Violet can duo this with the units I indicated for the main boss. And because Kaneshiro's strike resistance is very low, it's likely that Tifa and other strike units can take him, but you'll have to balance that out with the available bonus units. This actually brings us to a discussion about bonus units. Now we all know the Persona units will have max bonus, and in the JP raid, they got Garvall and Astrius both as M bonus units, along with the winter units. I think talking about Queen in a duo is rather relevant because Astrius and Garvall M bonus units, when used in a duo, will give more medals than using one of the Persona units in a 4-man team. So for those rolling for Astrius, you'll actually want to rush build him for this raid because he has a proven duo with Rachis, and I suspect that with Farm or Tidus he can also run this raid, and running him in a duo duo will outperform running a Queen +3 in terms of medals gained, as the Joker +1 or Violet +1 conundrum has already been solved online on YouTube. You can just hop on there and copy that, but solving the Queen +1 setup would benefit the most people, which is why I'm going to go looking for that setup on raid day. I'll be posting all of the comps I find, including any new comps because of the change in bonus units that we may get because it's no longer winter time. Subscribe to the channel so that you see that video when it drops. With that all said, now it's time to talk about prepping the P5R units that you may have, starting off with Queen. If you intend to build Queen quick enough for this raid at least, I would recommend Lamia Queen if you're going the strike route, or Coral and Scorpion Sentinel if you would rather go the lightning attack route. I wouldn't count lightning magic out, but I hesitate to prepare for it in terms of trying to do a duo. However, I'm relatively certain that a quad magic lightning team could take out this raid at level 100. So if you want to prep for that, I would recommend Europa as the faster lightning magic Esper. For her gear, you're gonna want to prep Assault Kaiser Knuckles if you don't have those already if going the attack route, and of course her own Knuckles from this event if you want to build a magic based Queen. Moving on to both Violet and Joker, it's only natural that you're going to want the fastest Espers paired up with them, so Odin or Brodin will both work wonders prepping for this raid. The same Esper recommendation extends to Astrius when he drops, because same deal, you'll want to be slashing and you will want to be fast. For weapons, I would prefer still a Assault Mage Masher for Joker, because the new dagger that comes with him has missile attack, which you won't be using for the raid, and while Locke's dagger may be viable for the level 100 main raid, the rare raid boss has very low defense, so if you don't want to be swapping out the weapon every time you encounter a rare raid boss, the Mage Masher will definitely do the job for you. And for Violet, I'm looking at a Assault Sword of Light still, because the critical rate from her weapon expires after 3 turns, and in a duo setup it is most likely that you will run far longer than that, hence the recommendation. For Astrius, and as for Garvall, I hesitate to recommend preparing with him because the bosses have relatively high missile resistance, there is no 4-hit missile in Garvall's element, and to boot, Garvall is a magic-based missile user, so matching him with a physical gunner will mean that they're not really matching VCs as much as, say, 2 physical or 2 magic users would be. However, with the Trust Stones in play, I actually am not sure if a magic-based Red Mage Garvall could pair up with any of your carry magic users like Black Rose Helena or something like that. This assessment somewhat extends to the Persona 5 units who all have missile attacks, but in light and in dark, there isn't a 4-hit missile chainer and the resistances are pretty high. But again, if you want to have fun, if you've got room in your energy budget, then go ahead and try and do it. But I would definitely prepare for Slash first instead of Missile. Lastly, we can't forget about Affinity. Whatever your game plan is, do not forget to start building that relationship between your units. You can use the keys they're giving out for free in the shops. Of course, your setup will have a higher chance of success if you've got a handle on your Trust Stones already. So if you're finding that you're having trouble managing them, you can look at the video on screen where I outlined my Paragon system for using Trust Stones that makes it much easier to use them than the game has designed at the moment. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Siskus out.